The two states of mind that I enjoy the most are euphoria and simply feeling calm. Although my interest in feeling euphoric isn't so much so that I would become obsessed with it to the degree that I've seen other people. Instead, I think the kind of feeling that I chase much more often is just calmness. That isn't to say that I don't like feeling euphoric. It's one of the best feelings. I think it is for just about everybody. But I'm one of those rare people who likes almost being calm more, who chases being calm much more often. So there's a certain serenity to it. There's a beauty in accepting your surroundings where you are and just feeling okay, that your heart's not bothering you, your body is totally normal, you can simply collapse into bed and exist. I think that's beautiful. I think it's a wonderful feeling. I like calmness, comfiness. It's nice. And I think one of the big problems that I express so often in these videos is just a general feeling of being fed up with the world as it overwhelms me. As, you know, I talk about heart palpitations a lot on this channel and other forms of stress. I talk a lot about sensory overwhelming from the sun. Like, if I'm out in the sun too long, I get really, really tired from just like looking at it. It'll give me a headache. And there was actually an arc on my channel where I was trying to teach myself, because I had been isolated for so long, how to go out into the sun and do it consistently. And I was convinced for like a week and a half that I had fixed my sleep schedule because I was going outside consistently, and it turned out to not be true. And I went back to being the exact same way I've been for my entire life. And it shouldn't have been a surprise to me at all, but apparently it was. And I've had all these little bitty arcs of trying to get used to the sun and trying to tolerate going out into it, with the prevailing result almost always being that I end up wanting to go back to the way that I was before because the sun is too overwhelming. I get these little things like this where I'm overwhelmed by so many things, and I don't like, loud noise, for example. I've always hated loud noise. Too much loud noise just makes me physically uneasy. I don't like too many people being in one place. Not because I'm scared of all of the people being in one place, but because my brain is just overwhelmed by all of the stuff at once. When I was in New York City, I had my medication hadn't worn off yet. The medication that I had been taking to be calm, and I had some calm me down pills with me as well, but the other ones I didn't have. What was it, anti-psych? It was one of those. So when I was there, like, I was slowly going from the withdrawal of someone who took a medication every day to not feel overwhelmed by being out in public, to being someone who, during like the second day of being there when I was on my own, someone who was completely overwhelmed by being in like a room full of people, for example, because medicine wasn't in my system anymore, and the hydroxyzine I had with me just wasn't enough to do anything. So that wasn't very fun, but it taught me a pretty vital lesson, made me realize something about myself. Well, it wasn't necessarily a realization, but more so a stark reminder that I can get overwhelmed by a lot of stuff happening at once, or if there's so much in my sensory purview or whatever it's called, I get overwhelmed. And I'm like this with light. I can't have too much light around, or I get overwhelmed by how much light there is. These kind of things. But it's not like an overt sense of fear. Sometimes it can turn into paranoia if it gets bad enough, but it's like, that's not where it begins. The paranoia isn't where it starts. I don't like so much loud noise. It really, really bothers me. I don't like seeing so many people and things at once. It really bothers me. I don't like having so much light at once. It really bothers me. But I'm calmed by things like the rain. I like just hearing the pitter-patter of the rain pouring, being out in it, and having it just be sort of gray outside, where there's not so much sun that it overwhelms me and makes me upset. It's less depressing. It's just nice to be able to sit outside and know that the natural wonder of the rain is going to fall and that there's nothing to worry about. Unpaused. I unpaused the recording because I had to clean up turds that my dog put all over the floor. But nevertheless, it's weird. It's weird to think about just how fast my heart gets for no reason. I get overwhelmed and anxious about nothing. Or there'll be nothing there, and there will be the sense that something is or will happen. And all the time, this problem occurs. And partly it's due to the fact that I'm just so stressed constantly from going to school and these other things, but it leads me to prefer a life in which there's just nothing. There's just no stress. You just lay there. You get back this kind of juice for a few hours a day just being there. And I'll probably be like this for the rest of my life, to be quite honest with you. I don't see a problem like this just disappearing. How does that happen? I'm just naturally isolated. And I think, even if I didn't have these issues with like big cities or light exposure so often, or people, not relating to other people, etc., I just wouldn't want to do these things. Like getting a job I wouldn't enjoy, going to school I wouldn't enjoy because I don't. I wouldn't relate to the vast majority of people and wouldn't enjoy their company. So even if these issues weren't a barrier for me, like, why would I want to do them? Even with like the sunlight stuff, with me disliking the sunlight, even if I didn't dislike the sunlight, what the hell is there for me to do out there? Like, the most interesting things that I can do are just in my room. I want to invest in like a UV light, because, and I gave this advice before, is that using a UV light is a great way of substituting sunlight exposure if you stay in the house all the time and taking supplements and stuff. But people still get on my case about the fact that I don't like going outside, even though objectively it's done nothing for me. But I get overwhelmed a lot. There's just too much. There's too much stuff in the world, and so I have to come on here. This is, I have a psychiatrist, but this is my real psychiatrist. It's like I just spill everything out and then I feel better afterwards. If I'm having a shitty day, I just turn on the Audacity or my camera or something, and then the video's being recorded, and then I feel better. This is my psychiatrist, the real one, not just some, punk who sits there and forces me to get on all these medications that just make things worse. The picture you're seeing on screen was drawn by mulliboom. Really nice guy, a commenter, a friend. He watches a lot of my streams, so if you watch the streams, you've probably talked to him before. But he drew this picture of me. I guess my new haircut inspired people to draw an image of Star, and I think it's really cool. It's funny too, because when I woke up, like, seeing that picture was the first thing I did when I woke up, and when I woke up, I was in the middle of having a bit of a panic attack. This happens whenever I post a video before going to bed. I don't know why this happens, but almost always I wake up where I start to have a panic attack when I wake up. After I posted a video before going to sleep. And so, without fail, it almost always happens. So I wake up and I'm recovering from this anxiety that I was dealing with, I guess you could say. And I go on Discord, one of the first things I do, and I see he sent me this picture, and I immediately start feeling better as I see this picture, because here's this guy who just felt the motivation to take the time out of their day to draw something of me. I thought it was so cool. And it's the little things like that that, make life really special. Is that, when you make something, when you put your own heart and soul into making something, and then it inspires someone else to make something that's as a tribute to you, it makes all of this other extraneous bullshit worth it. It makes all of this weird shit that my brain filters the world through worth it. It made me really happy. And I guess if I were to say what the point of this is, because so many of my videos are quite cynical, it would be to find the thing that calms you down if you're dealing with something similar. My dog is a big help for me, is if I lay down and listen to calming music and pet my dog, it helps a lot. Just staying in my room. But being calm is my favorite feeling. I like being calm the most. It's the feeling that I tend to seek, or, like the euphoria that I get with writing is another one that I really like, where if I finish a post, the post is done, and I enjoy what the post is, I get this overwhelming sense of pride that, I just wrote something, and it's euphoric, and I like that. I like the feeling of accomplishing something. Yeah, the body is weird.